What is going on, guys? Happy Monday. I have the pleasure of going live with Miss Maya, and we're going to be talking about making pro level improvements in your off season or in your improvement season, however you wish to identify. We're going to be talking about what she thinks is important regarding making improvements, talking about things to improve upon from a judge's perspective and feedback when it comes to bringing up the glutes, especially and the delts, especially at like the pro level. Advice that she would want to give to someone in their improvement season to keep going and making sure that we continue to make those improvements without letting like the scale or a little bit of body fat kind of get to us. So I'm going to wait for Miss Maya to join us, and then we will go ahead and get started. Sometimes it takes a second for like Instagram to like notify people. So we'll see. Hello, hello. Did
Hello.
you say it's your first Instagram live? Are you serious?
Yeah, it is.
Well,
This is my very first Instagram live.
that's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just figured like you would be like a freaking pro at this. Well, welcome to your first live, girl. I love
Oh,
that. How are you doing?
it's so weird to think like everybody can just see us. Like this is a completely different mindset, but also I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing pretty well myself. I know lives are really fun just because like you get to see, I mean, duh, you see us in real time, but like also
Yeah.
it's just kind of like you when you were on the podcast, it was just kind of like shooting the shit, talking with people that, you talk to and support, even if it's like a 3 hour time zone difference. So it's really
Yes.
cool. It's great to stay connected and have community.
Agreed. This is the perfect like red thread or like common theme from our last conversation. So I love the build and then like just checking in to see how everybody's doing, whatever season we're in, whatever we're working on, and seeing how we've grown and whatnot, and just having these conversations. So I love to be a part of it.
I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah.
So, kind of the first question I want to ask you is, do you work with a coach year round?
Yes, I do. I work with Shelby under Fit Body Fusion year round. Doesn't matter when, even if I'm like on vacation, like still working with her, all the things. And just to give a little bit of context, I know a lot of people will not coach or not have a coach during their improvement season. I think it is so critical to have a coach during your improvement season because coaches and bodybuilding in general, like the focus is on bodybuilding. Because when they go to cut you down later that year or the following year, like have you built? They don't know. They're not sure what you've been doing. They don't know your body. They haven't learned or seen your programming, all of that jazz. So I think that when coaches are maybe, or not coaches, but when athletes are maybe at the very top and they don't need to build more, totally understand. Like they take their time away, they're able to focus on their families, work, whatever else that they want to do, and then come back and then they like lean out a little bit. Awesome. I still have building to do. So this is a really important time period for me. And yeah, I definitely recommend doing that. When I bring on clients, I'm like, I would prefer to work for you at least 3 to 4 months,
Mhm.
and kind of like even if you're in good shape, they're like, but I'm in great shape. Like it's not just about that though. It's about like a recomp. It's about me learning your body, understanding what your lifting style is, and then also maintaining a sense of consistency before we jump into a prep. So there's a difference between IFBB and NPC, each, yeah, etc. But ultimately, I think it's all about having and building that relationship and keeping it constant so that you are learning and growing together and you're both invested during every season.
I love that. I think you literally answered my follow-up question about why do you think it's important, but
Oh,
why
there you go.
specific like you touched on some great points that I feel like applies to everyone, but why specifically do you, professional athlete, IFBB pro,
Yeah.
work with a coach year round? Like, what is it maybe that you think is maybe,
Uh,
oh, I don't want to say weakness as like a negative, but like obviously, Shelby, you trust, you guys have developed like so many great like memories as well as like work client relationship, but like you still trust them to guide you. So, like, why do you specifically think it's important for you?
yeah, specifically for me, I like accountability. I'm not one to, I mean, I'm not one to shy away from that. I understand that like it can be easy to get lost. It can be easy to lose focus. And I'm I admit that. That is very true. If I'm traveling or if I'm doing other things, I'd be like, wow, I could live a normal life. Like, of course, I still have this fire in my belly, but having that check-in, where you know it's like, oh, it's every single week. I check in, I get into my heels. It keeps you focused. So that's one thing. And the second thing is my feedback very consistently. And what I know I need to do in order to break through to that next level is to build my upper and outer glutes
Mm,
and understanding because we can get in our own heads
yes.
and say, like, I don't know if I'm making progress. I don't know if I'm building the right way. I'm not sure if my program, like, you'll second guess
Mm,
things. And having somebody who grounds me and also has a plan for the long term rather than just like the next week or what I need to do in the next session. Um, Takes that stress off of me and it leaves it in her hands. You know, I'm like, if I follow and execute her plan, um, I will be building in the and moving in the right direction.
mhm.
And then I have time and energy to focus on other things, but most importantly, making sure that I am making and addressing the feedback that was given to me in the previous show or previous season.
Absolutely. That's a great freaking answer. Hit on
Yeah,
all the points I wanted to
there
touch
you go.
on. So, in your off season, what are things that you specifically focus on to bring up like your
Yeah.
glutes? Like what are your I don't want to say like non-negotiables, but maybe I do. Like what are something that like you focus on to check
Yeah,
off consistently?
absolutely. So, most importantly is, and this is something that is kind of like a not a sore spot, but like it's something that I've been working on, is that I thought that I was training really well. And I did have that intensity. I know I did. I had it, but there is it takes a lot of mental load to get to the place where you have to go to continually progressively overload.
Hmm.
And it's like preparing for the session, making sure you're well fueled for the session, making sure that you're going in with the mindset of like, I am going to break this PR that I had last week, or add intensity in some other way with time under tension, etc. Rest pause, etc. to keep growing. And I think that most recently, I like finally locked into that because my last like 3 weeks, I would say, which is crazy because I'm like almost 20 weeks into an improvement season. But my last few weeks, I was like, holy crap, like this is next level. Like this is what it's supposed to feel like.
Mm.
And I'm like shaking and shaking at the end of my sets. I am so locked in that like obviously like, swearing and like grunting and stuff. And people are probably like, what? Like I'm scared for her. She looks so crazy.
I'm scared for her. I'm scared for me.
Scared for me. I'm scared for me too. Um, but and like it's not pretty. And I know that I have been there before, but I think that sometimes it's easy to get lost in that. And
Mhm.
something I've been really focusing is on that. The other thing, and this is kind of like that layer below that is so ambiguous because it's different for every single person, but working on my health to make sure that I am in an optimal state. And everybody says like, "Oh, it's so easy. Like, get your blood work done." Like, you know what I mean? Like, and but the thing is, like, that is like the starting point.
Yeah.
Like, getting your blood work done is not the end. Like that is the if you don't find issues, which I highly doubt it because this is extremely unhealthy. Um, that is the starting point. Then it's like, all right, what are the root causes, and what do we have to do more testing? What are we taking the right path? Like, let's keep doing testing throughout to make sure that you're moving in the right direction.
Yes.
To be completely honest, is my thyroid in the best place? No. Have I been working on it? Yes. Is it expensive? Yes.
Is it
And
worth it? Yes.
is it worth it? Yes, absolutely. When people are like, well, I don't know, I'm like, let's be real here. If you're gonna do and choose this lifestyle and do all the things. No judgment to what people do, and there are healthier ways to do things, but it's all not healthy. If you are going to take things, if you are going to do things, or if you're going to downregulate your entire system, then you have to be financially, mentally, emotionally, all of the things ready to help
Hmm.
rebuild on the back end. And I'm not even in the perfect state yet. Like I'm still working through it, and I see a oh my gosh, I can't even think. I see like two different
Yeah.
doctors and to work on this, and we're continually checking in. And I don't know, like it is scary to be like, oh, I hope I'm in a good spot by the time that I want to prep. But it's also like I can't control the way that my body's responding to this. And one of the biggest things is getting your period back, and that's been a huge focus for me because even before bodybuilding, like I wasn't in the best place because I was on birth control, I had an IUD, all of these things. So I think that I'm not even just doing damage from prep, I'm then doing damage from years and years of dysregulation.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been working on that for a bit, and that part, I'm going to be honest, is a little bit scary. So I'm like, oh, I don't know when this is going to sort itself. Like, I'm definitely eating enough.
Hmm.
I definitely have more body weight on that I should be in a place where like I should be getting my period. And there are signs, like I'll get cramps. I'm like, oh my goodness, like it's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. It just hasn't happened yet. And my FSH levels are in a good spot. So like my body's trying to do it.
Yep.
It's just sitting in this for longer to make sure that it happens. And then also like like you were kind of mentioning of like non-negotiables. Some of those non-negotiables for me are like, all right, does that mean that I have to, this is going to sound like odd, but scale back in
Yeah.
cardio, scale back on like just like things that are kind of scary and seem counterintuitive because you're like, oh, I want to stay in great shape. Like, but if my body's not going to be functioning well enough, like I need to make sure that I'm doing everything to support that. I'm not going to be doing like extra things on the side and add things that add more stress to my life.
Hmm.
So there's that. I would say non-negotiable number one, making sure that my glute training, all training really, but is super intense
Yep.
and that I'm actually progressively overloading. I like the little thumbs up. And then I would say number two is getting my health markers in a good spot. And then number three, which is kind of new for me now, and this is more of like my mental state, is making sure that I'm not putting unnecessary body fat on.
Mm.
Which is kind of, you have to balance things with the getting your health markers in a good spot. So recently we're doing like a slight cleanup phase, which some people are comfortable with, some people are like, that doesn't make any sense. But for me, to stay in a good mental space where I go into the gym and I feel good and I can move optimally and all that, I'm going to do a slight cleanup phase and I'm comfortable with that. Like, it is what it is. So making sure my my headspace is in a good spot with any cleanup phases as needed, so that again, setting myself up for a good prep. But again, maintaining a good weight, not getting so attached to that clinic phase that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cut down till I'm
Yep.
like literally only 10 pounds away from stage. Like that's not what we want to do. I want to
Yep.
clean up so I'm healthy, happy, full range of motion, all the good things, and then keep growing. So I would say that those are my three kind of like high level non-negotiables, and then everything like falls under. But one thing that I would like to mention is routine for all of
Mm.
these things is like the basis of what makes those things possible. So like I still train every day. I still get light cardio in. I still I still have the same routines. Like it doesn't change. I'm just eating more food and having a little bit less of a rigid mindset when
Hmm.
it comes to, like when exactly I'm training. Um and I think that that's okay. Some people would say no, like you try at the same time every day, but like I have other things in my life just based on the person that I am that I have to shift things around and prioritize other things, and that is what it is. So I would say all of this falls back on a system and a routine that makes sure that I execute on those daily.
Mm. I love that. And that actually brings me to my next question.
Yeah.
What are some things that you do in your off season that you wouldn't normally do in prep?
Ooh, good question. So some people like feel comfortable eating out during prep and
Mm.
like guesstimating and like kind of like putting it in. And this is not like you bring chicken and you have lettuce at a place and you
Yeah.
weigh it all out. I mean like true guesstimation and true flexibility. I would not do that during prep.
Sure.
Some people do. I definitely do not. I'm much more rigid, and I would either bring my own Tupperware and eat it there, or eat before, or eat after, depending on the scenario and who's there, etc. I do that now, so I find so much joy. I know this is you too. I love food. Like I
I love
love food. I was
colors in food, dude. Like I
oh my
tried, dude.
gosh,
I tried a persimmon today, or persimmon.
persimmon,
Like
yeah,
persimmon.
persimmon.
Yeah. First time. I'm almost 30 years old. First time I've had that, I was like, this fruit is so undervalued. Like this was such a good fucking fruit.
I love that for you. The exploratoriness. It's like you're more curious and you can try things. Like going into the grocery store and being like, I want to, I could buy anything here and like I'm gonna put it in my macros or and fit it in. And it's gonna be freaking fine because I'm not worried, oh, is this gonna bloat me? Is this gonna like, is my body
Yeah.
gonna react
Like
strange?
tiptoeing around
And
food. Yeah.
yeah. Or thinking like, well, especially for you know, like I have this set of food that I know works well with my body, and I don't want to like leave no stone unturned. There's nothing that's going to cause any issues during my next check-in. And now I would say I eat more flexibly. I will go out and guesstimate, even if it's not like a what's it called? An intuitive meal. I will go out and I'll be like, well, that looks like I can measure with my eyeball about now. Like, be like, all right, that's about 4 ounces chicken. That's about
Yeah.
that. Like, and I feel comfortable with that. And then I would say the other thing is the timing of when I train. So if I need to move things around, I'm like, oh, we're going on like a trip this weekend, and there's not a gym in the area. So like I could probably bring bands to get a work in, but like I'm not gonna be growing from that. Like I'm gonna move
Yeah.
my training around, get it all in during the week, and then have the weekend to do whatever I need to do, stay active. So I would say moving, training around, flexibility with the type of foods I eat, if I'm eating out, and then oof,
What about
some things that I like.
hobbies, like outside of fitness?
Okay, yes, I do have hobbies outside of fitness, and I think that that's what allows me like the flexibility to be like, oh, I'm gonna go do this thing. And some of them are not even hobbies. Sometimes it's literally just having fun. It's like, oh, I want to go to the movie theater tonight. Like, I'm gonna go do that. Like,
Yeah.
or one of the things, and this, oh my God, this totally threw my coach. Shelby was like, "Don't do that, Maya." When I was in Barcelona, my boyfriend and I did high rocks workouts, which is basically, she was like, "That is the opposite of everything you need to be doing." But I did it. I did it. It was for 1 week, so it
Yeah.
wasn't like it didn't. It's not gonna have a crazy impact. Yes, my recovery was lower, but like it's fine.
When in Barcelona, like
Exactly. It's funny because like my hobbies would be other fitness things. Like so I'm gonna be honest, I kind of put up a fight about it. I was like, I don't know if this is like right for me to be doing. But you know what? It was so freaking fun. Like I felt like a true athlete and I was like, oh gosh, like it's like scratch that itch.
that's right.
Um it scratched that itch and I so it's like basically you do a kilometer run, you do a lift, a heavy lift or like an ab workout or something, but it's supposed to be very intense. And then you do that like 8 rounds. So you're running basically. You're running so much. And also they're like sprint runs.
Sure.
So I did it, I did a couple times, or maybe like three times. I don't know. I can't remember the exact amount and I don't want to lie. But I did it a few times and that was really cool. So being able to do that, I would never do that during
Mhm.
prep. And what other hobbies? I'm trying to think. It's funny because like being a foodie and like trying foods is a hobby for me. Like, what? I don't know.
No, I
Some
love
people,
that.
some people talk about like, what's it called? Oof, like baking and things like that. I don't really do that, I'm gonna be honest. But what it does give me extra time to do though is I feel like I have more time to focus on my work. So like my corporate job as well as coaching.
Mhm.
And it's not that I fully give my attention to all of my clients and my job when I'm in prep. But I am usually stressed. I'm like, okay, we have this time frame to get it done, and we have to go here and leave and like I'm much just overall my mood I would say a lot more like masculine energy
Mhm.
and I try and be softer during my improvement season. um it's so silly that I cannot think about other hobbies. Like I definitely have hobbies. What are they? That
No, I
makes me
feel like
so
that's something that like when you are in your off season though, you have more creative room and more
yeah,
mental energy to maybe find something new. So even though
yes,
like maybe baking isn't your thing, but like, going out and maybe supporting like a local business, like a new restaurant,
yeah,
trying new like ways to move your body. I think those are like all good things. That's also really nice to hear like as a professional athlete, because I know a lot of us amateurs that do look up to pros. I think some of us think that you have to eat, sleep, and poop bodybuilding all the time, even in your off season. And it's really encouraging to hear that it's like contest prep. You got to have your blinders on. You got to be locked in, ready to go, right?
yeah,
But off season, like especially once you've finished up your reverse and you've addressed all your health markers, this is where you get to like regain some of that flexibility. Not that it's a hall pass to go like do a bunch of drugs, drink a bunch of alcohol, not
yeah,
sleep or train or do like a complete 180 of bodybuilding contest prep, but to
yeah.
just like loosen your belt a little bit so that way like you can have longevity in the sport so that way you're not burning yourself out.
Yes, yes, 110%. I think that it's even just in the way that you approach your everyday
Mhm.
life and those things that you were just talking about. And You know what? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I would be a better bodybuilder if I did eat, sleep, train, poop, bodybuilding. You know
You
what I
would.
mean? Like,
Like,
you
it
know what I mean? Like
sounds nice.
there's no, I know 100% if I did that, like, yes, okay, everything would be great. But also too, like I don't want to wake up one day and be like, wow, like I'm gonna do this my way.
Yep.
I'm gonna do it the way that I want to take it. And that's kind of what the beauty of bodybuilding is that you can do it in the way you want to. Some people bodybuild for fun. Like they genuinely do not care about the placing. They like getting on stage, they like building, they like going back. Like it is the it is something to give you something to work towards or a passion or
Mhm.
something to continue building. And the fact that there is really no end point and the fact that it's always going to be a journey is just so beautiful because there's always something to improve
Mhm.
and to address your weaknesses, reset, restart, keep rolling. And yeah, I don't know. I know that I would be better 100% if I did those things, but I'm really happy with how it's been going and my approach to this in general. So I'm here to tell everybody, anybody who's a NPC, that you can do this and enjoy your improvement seasons and come back and be competitive. Competitive's all relative, right? But be competitive and be successful, like, and proud of yourself and feel fulfilled, while continuing to work for what you want, especially during your improvement season. Like if you have license to have that flexibility, this is the time to do it. And I tell my clients that all the time. Like you're in improvement season, like the stress you have about the food you ate is probably causing you more stress than the food you ate, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like all the way that we approach and see things and then our body achieves what our mind believes. So all of that.
Agreed. So, what advice would you give a either amateur that is aspiring to be a pro, or maybe even someone that is just like kind of putting their big toe into the water of bodybuilding? What
Yeah.
advice would you give to someone to be in their improvement season for as long as possible to bring maybe better developments in their physique?
Yeah. I would say that it's very important to set intentions for your improvement season.
Hmm.
Have a very clear plan on what you're working towards, and then specific small goals along the way to achieve in order to make progress and assess progress. So, part of the systems that I was talking about is like checking in every single week. Say you're not working with a coach and you still want to be making improvements, check in with yourself every week. Like, I think that the idea of like if you can measure it, you can manage it, something to that
Hmm.
effect, I think. So make sure that you're measuring your progress because it can be so hard to look back and be like, and think nothing's changing, or think so much has changed, and what, like maybe you just put on extra body fat, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like it's so hard to measure if you're not actually tracking all of those biomarkers.
Hmm.
So there's that. But overall, set a clear plan, set small goals along the way to make sure that um, you're on the right track, and then also truly enjoy the process of building because it's just like it's so imperative that if you don't even like training, like maybe this is not the right sport.
You don't like training and you're not willing to like track your food and contest prep, like
Yes.
let's reevaluate some goals. But that's okay too. Because I feel
Yeah,
like
and that's
this is such
fine.
a small like community, but at the same time it also gets glamorized
Oh
where
yeah.
it's like if you're not enjoying this, dude, like not everyone needs to be a freaking bodybuilder, but everyone should take care of themselves and their health.
Yes, 110%. One of the things I was just talking, I was at a massage yesterday and I was talking to my massage therapist, and she was saying, she's like, I feel like a lot of women end up like going to the gym and just kind of like giving up. And I was like, that's because women see the gym and they see cardio machines.
Mm.
Like they're not seeing the full like depth and like breadth of everything that is available at a gym membership. I'm like, shoot, if you want just a cardio machine, like buy one and have it at home because it's expensive to uphold a gym membership. Like, so at that point, it's like, go to the gym, like, just go into it very curious. Like,
Mhm.
for advice to any woman who's like dipping their toe into fitness, you don't necessarily need to be in bodybuilding. Dip your toe in, maybe even see what other type of training modalities you like. Like,
Mhm.
also, or like what kind of setting? Like, do you even like the gym? Do you want to go to spin instead? Like, you don't need to be a bodybuilder to enjoy moving your body and also to work towards a physique that you enjoy and are proud
Mhm.
of. I my biggest wish is that women, especially in the older generation, find something that makes them feel fulfilled and strong
Mm.
and show up with confidence in their everyday lives, because I know firsthand that doing that and changing my life through fitness, even before bodybuilding, impacted every single other area of my life and for the better.
Yeah.
My advice for anybody who's just dabbling in fitness in general is continue looking. Like, don't get stuck into this mindset. So I know that started from a joke of, if you don't like training, like this isn't for you, but truly,
Yeah.
maybe not. And also, you will find your place, because
Mm.
we were all made to move.
Hmm.
We were all made to move. Like, we are all made to be um, people and I mind you, I sometimes sit at my desk for way too long. So I can't even say that I move all the time.
Yeah.
But, like, to the effect of, like, we humans are supposed to be out in the world. We're
Mm.
supposed to be doing things, staying active. That's when our bodies feel best. And if you keep searching, or if you haven't found what makes your body feel good when you're moving outside, like, keep searching. Is it
Yeah.
running? Is it, I don't know,
It's
Pilates?
not.
Oh,
For me, it ain't running. I've
you're
tried
like,
that. I had that arc. Never again.
like my cross country day is wild. I can't believe that was even a thing. But yeah, so that would be my advice for anybody who's just dabbling in fitness in general.
Mm.
Don't become attached to the bodybuilding thing if it doesn't bring you joy. Like, there's a very select few that will stay in this for life.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people who dabble, and I hope that all the people who dabble enjoyed it and move on to find something that they truly enjoy. And that the reason why I'm so big on this too is, like, some people get into this and then they're like, oh my God, bodybuilding ruined my life and I hate all
Yes.
fitness. And I'm like, ooh,
You're
that's
like,
like, oh,
simmer down.
dial it down. Because I think that's like attributing that, like, blame to
Mm.
bodybuilding in general, but it was probably the approach, it was probably the coach, it was probably their
Yep.
first show experience, all of those things. And I don't want that, because they're like so attached to like bodybuilding, like, I have to be a bodybuilder, I have to
Yep.
have this physique, to be what puts them off of fitness altogether.
Mm.
So, a long ramble there, but ultimately, do what makes your body feel good. You know it. I know it. There are immediate no's, and there's things in your body where you're like, yeah, no, that was good. And, like, maybe I'm not a pro at it yet. Maybe I'm just like squatting with a barbell,
Mm.
and you're like, but that felt good. Like, okay, run with that. Run with that. See how it goes. So I think that
No,
answered the question. A little bit
no,
of a
it definitely
ramble.
did. No, it definitely did. It was a good little side tangent, and really just kind of like a final question. Like, obviously the off season, the improvement phase, whatever the hell you want to call it, like for some people, especially women, struggle more with seeing the scale go up, seeing lines fade. Like, do you have any advice or things that you tell yourself to stay focused on making improvements and not finding your self-worth in, making sure that your sparkly bikini fits year round?
Mm. Oh my goodness, huge thing here, yes. Especially because we can't choose where we gain weight.
Hmm.
I gain weight in my midsection. My legs still have lines.
Holler.
So, like, right there, preaching to the choir. So that has been a big thing for me, especially
Mhm.
because I know, and I have friends who don't even train, who just like stay lean there year round. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. So for me, this is gonna sound so silly, but wear clothes that fit your
It's not
body.
silly, it's good advice.
Okay, because good, because that's one thing I noticed for me is that, like, if I'm still trying to fit into the clothes I wore during prep, like, I'm not going to feel good about it. Like, that is going to make me feel like a little
Yeah.
sausage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, not a good thing. And I've done it in previous years, and so making sure that you have clothing that fits your body. Also, not buying only buying clothes when you're like literally stage lean. Not smart.
Yeah.
Not smart at all. And then two is understanding, and like, I started going to therapy, so I'm kind of working through all
I have
this.
my first therapy appointment today with a sports
Oh,
psychologist. So hell yeah.
yes. Okay, I love that. So if you can afford it, do some therapy, work on that, because it's very easy to become attached to the way that your
Oh
body
yeah.
looks and feel like your worth comes from that. But also think about how much time and energy you would have on your hands if you weren't thinking about food or
Mm.
your body. Like, what?
Yep.
That is just so freeing. So what I like to do is I try now, especially focusing on training,
Mm.
is not tying my worth, but like getting joy and working towards goals that are not physique related. So
Yep.
yes, I'm in a cleanup period right now, but overall, like, the most important thing during the season is like continuing to progress my lifts.
Hmm.
So focusing on performance or strength related goals. Also, it's kind of like a byproduct. as a byproduct of that, I'm not as focused on the scale.
Yep.
So that, and then wearing clothes that fit, and then also going to therapy. Do it, just do it, because sometimes you come up with thoughts and then they swirl in your brain. And also, I've gotten into this habit of like, no one wants to hear me talk about my weight or anything like that, right? But guess what? A therapist is paid to do that. I'm like
I
other people get tired of it. Like they'll help you through it.
do for sure. I think it's something that you could construe this as super negative, but something that I like to do, if like I've been in my improvement season for 5 years, right? So like even though I've had cleanup phases and intentional growth phases where food is higher, maybe we're using gym candy or whatever, it's like regardless, you can't lose your head to something like the scale or body fat, right? Because like in reality, putting on a little bit of body fat in your off season is not a real problem, right? If you're following your coaching plan to a T, you're progressively overloading, you're getting strong, you're
Mhm.
being a bad bitch, you're having flexibility, spending time with family and friends, like doing all the things that truly add to your life. Is it really that big of a deal that if you have like a little extra, cushion for the pushing? No, it's what your brain tells you, right? So a big thing that I like to tell myself and then also like athletes in the sport is focus on things that truly matter. Like honestly do that.
Yes. I'm not even gonna respond to that because I just like I co-sign all of it. I just
Co-sign
yes,
check.
yes, check. I agree. I agree. Um, and just to build on that, like if you are doing that and having that mindset, you will also like as a byproduct again. Oh, hello, Kitty.
Oh,
As
I
a
know. She's just
byproduct,
chilling.
she's so cute. As a byproduct of that, you won't be focusing as much on on the way that you look.
Mhm.
And also too, if you're getting true fulfillment from training, you're getting true fulfillment from like checking the boxes, doing everything according to plan. I don't think anything beats like yes, being lean feels good. No, that but nothing beats knowing that you're giving your all and working towards your goals and actually feeling the pride of like I'm doing this for me. I'm making progress and like day in, day out, and then looking back and realizing that you did it for that long. Like those baby steps add up, and that's how you climb mountains. Like
Mhm.
it starts with those steps and day in, day out, consistency over a long period of time, as opposed to high intensity for a short period of time. So like understanding that we can achieve so much with that consistency, like everything is on the other side of it. Everything. So like just keeping going honestly like one foot in front of the other and just have grace with
Mhm.
yourself and if you quote unquote I don't like the words go off track but if you go off track keep
Get back.
rolling because the only thing that the only time you truly fail is if you give up completely
Yeah, agreed.
so I mean and also every single thing is an opportunity to learn from and grow through. So what you might think as a mess up is actually just another way that didn't work, or a time that you learned a lesson, or say you were a binger or something. You learned what your trigger foods are. Okay,
Yep.
oh, that triggers me. Okay, that's probably not a smart thing to do, or maybe I need to look into that and talk about that in therapy.
Mhm.
So there's so many different things, and I think I want to end it on, or like not end it on, but my final response to all of this is that the improvement season is where you truly will make the changes that you need to make in order to be successful in the long run. That is not going to happen during prep.
Mhm.
This time is so critical and I would say more important than prep. Yes, there's a time frame on prep. Yes, you're getting ready for a specific show, but this part is like I would say where most people probably fall off, where most people quit because it is there's no specific end goal in sight. So it has to be intrinsic. It has to be yourself driving yourself forward. Even if you have a coach, what are they going to do? Do the lift for you? That's not going to happen. It's not going
We
to
got our
happen.
own lifts to worry about.
Exactly, exactly. So I would say have grace with yourself, love the process, just keep rolling, keep giving it your all. And if it's not for you and you truly do find that like you want to focus on other things, this is a really good time to explore those other things and then decide if it's right for
Mhm.
you. So gosh, I feel like this got so much deeper than just like what am I doing right now?
Well,
But
that's
it
kind
is.
of like what bodybuilding is, right? It should be
Yeah.
deeper than just like your physique. Like your
Yeah.
physique is like the physical manifestation of the mental work that you were willing to do. Not only like in contest prep where you're like
Yeah.
doing hours of cardio, you're still pushing in the gym, you're eating a hell of a lot less, but like
Yeah.
contest prep, you're just like literally like carving off the fat. But in terms of your improvement season, that's where you actually build up the muscle, you build up the physique, you build up the body, you instill good habits, and you essentially create and fortify your mental strength because like that shit can all fall apart in a blink of an eye in contest prep because it will absolutely like expose your weaknesses.
Fact. Fact. It's like it exposes all the true colors too. Like if
Hmm.
you, you're like, I was never a selfish person. You're about to be selfish.
Yes, absolutely.
It's funny. There's just like a million things I think that prep brings out, and making sure that you have that good foundation before you jump into it is so important. The other thing I was going to mention is kind of like a fun thing because of the season. The other thing I do during my improvement season that I don't do during prep is try like modified macro friendly things at Starbucks. That sounds so silly, but I find so much joy in it. Like I'll like on Instagram, there's like the macro barista or things
Yeah,
like people like that, and they have these orders, and I'm like, oh my God, I get to try like a pumpkin spice, whatever. It's fun for me. Like I find joy in that because typically I'm like a black coffee with maybe like a pump of sugar-free vanilla,
yeah,
or most places if it's not Starbucks, nothing at all. Because I don't know what kind of syrups they got. Like I don't know what their sugar-free thing is. I don't trust it.
yeah.
So I'll I'll keep it black, but I think that's a small joy that I have during the work week specifically.
Dude, if that like if being a silly goose is brings joy to your life, and I argue that's
Yeah,
much more powerful. You know, like I'm honestly like a black coffee girly. That's
yeah,
just my vibe. But like I do creative stuff outside of, you know, bodybuilding for myself, for Eric, whatever. And I think that's really important that you make sure you give time and attention to other areas and other relationships in your improvement season, and you
hmm,
focus on making improvements all throughout your life, especially when it comes to like your family, your community, whatever, because obviously contest prep, your time is very yours. It is very
yeah,
selfish, but that's why we don't want to be in contest prep year round. And like power to you if, you know, that's what you do and that's how you body build. But for a lot of us, especially like the amateurs where we do really need to bring up improvements. And I know you're a
yeah,
professional athlete and you need to bring up improvements
yeah,
too, but like you know, obviously, like you've hit like one stepping stone versus like some of the amateurs. They're just like, oh shit, I just want to compete, or I
yeah,
just want to win my class. I want to win the overall. I want to earn my pro card. It's like there are certain levels to bodybuilding, but it's always refreshing to hear that even pros have to make improvements, not only to their physique, duh, but also like
yeah.
other areas of their life.
Yes, 100%. It's like never ending. And I also feel
Mhm.
like the more you go up, the more you realize, like, shit, I have a lot to improve on constantly. And sometimes something like somebody will point something out to me and I'm like, oh, damn it. It's another thing to add to the list. Another growth area. So like I reframe them all as like, yes, improvements. And there is a way to like look at it that way where it's kind of like, oh, these are areas that are my weaknesses. I like to think of them as growth areas. Like
Yeah.
these are just like areas for growth. Like I'm good as I am, but like in order to keep rolling, keep building, these are the growth areas. So definitely that. And gosh, the other thing I was going to mention, if you ever have the opportunity to do it, I would recommend you try a flat white. They're very tasty. And as a black coffee girly, usually, I think you would enjoy it. Get it with almond milk. Don't get like heavy. I don't know. Sometimes people
I'm gonna tell you, I'm
get
gonna
it with.
stop you right there. This girlie is lactose intolerant. I wanted to,
Oh,
I tried to bring back
oh
like
no.
yogurt, and it 2 tablespoons took me out. 2 tablespoons of yogurt took
Oh,
out. I was like humbled. So no, well, if we do a flat white, it will be with some type of like milk, where it's like
yeah.
no or almond or whatever. Because I can do Greek yogurt and I can do like goat cheese and stuff like that. But any other like dairy type of stuff, it kills me. Just
I'm
takes the bitch
sorry.
out. Me
That
too.
kills me. That kills me. Because one of the things I do like improvement season, I feel like you can get a kid scoop at an ice cream place and like that's easy to fit. And you're like, wow, this is a true joy. So so I'm sorry that you have to deal with that struggle, but also cheers to you for making it work with milk and all the other things you need to do. And doing, what makes your body feel good and only consuming food that like actually it enjoys. So yeah. Any other questions? I have one question for you when you
Oh
if
no,
you're
hit
you're
me. Let's
open.
go.
Okay, so I know that you're creative and I also know that you like to cook, you like to bake, you have so many side quests. It's like incredible to me
Side
because I've listened to the
quest. I
podcast.
love that.
Yeah. So what is something like creative that you're doing for yourself or for your husband right now?
Ooh, so we're lately, once a week, I ask him like, what does he want in terms of like a baked good because we call them one hit wonders, right? So I am not a recipe person. Like if I want to be creative in the kitchen, like I have enough know-how from my years of helping my mom bake cakes and stuff like that, where it's like I have a general idea and a general blueprint of how a muffin differs from a cake, differs from a cookie, differs from a brownie, right? It's just
Hmm.
different ratios of the same stuff. So it's like I'll ask him what does he want, and then I just go. I go. And this last week, I made okay, so again, another adventurous thing. I bought from Costco pear apples.
Interesting.
And it's like, if you, yeah, it's like a mule, right? So it's like a horse and a donkey, like do hanky panky. Well, it's like a pear and an apple do hanky panky. And it is the shape of an apple, but it tastes like a pear.
That's
So
such a mind fuck.
dude, it was okay. It was really, really good. It was really good. But the thing is, it's like they're like avocados where they all got ripe at the same freaking time, and I'm like, I can't eat all these pear apples, right? There's just too many pear apples. So I made a pear apple bread, and I put
Ooh.
like pumpkin seeds. I put like a bunch of like brown sugar. I made like a streusel on top. And Eric's like, this is probably one of my favorite things I've ever baked. You've ever baked, but I will never have it again because again,
It's
no
too fun.
recipes. It was just
Yes. Well, because you have that creative like mind and you're just going in and you're not like tracking anything, you're like, how am I going to recreate this? I think that's kind of like a beauty though, like the one hit wonder thing. Like it'll never happen again. It's just like
for
this, like
me,
the
yeah,
stars aligned.
exactly. Do you know are you familiar with like I don't know if it's Tibetan monks, but it's like they do the sand art where
Oh
it's
yeah, and
like,
then they wipe it away.
yep, that's for me my sand art. It's not about being perfect or recreating the exact thing, it's having fun in the process and creating the
Oh,
process. That's my fun, that's my joy. So I kind of like pulled inspiration from that because it's like, yeah,
yeah.
I can make brownies anytime. Like if I wanted to make it myself or if I wanted to go get a box from Betty, like I could, but the joy isn't just producing something, it's being creative and having fun.
Which is a metaphor for really everything in life. And I love that so much.
Hmm.
That should be the thing with the improvements. It's like enjoying the process for everything and making sure that you're putting everything that you have into it. And it's so interesting because I see the parallels to improvement season as well because like as you're putting in
Hmm.
all these ingredients and you're doing what feels right and like moving in the right track with general
Yeah.
guidelines and you're continuing to progress, you have no idea what the outcome is. And that's the same thing with improvement season. Like you're not sure, like there's no guarantee that everything that you're
Hmm.
doing is going to work out perfectly, but you are continuing to work towards it. And then you have this like faith that everything is going to work out well in the end and all of the effort and creativity that you're putting into this improvement season and enjoying yourself is going to pay off and it's going to be beautiful and you're going to reach whatever the end of that baking session or that baking in the gym session is and it'll be lovely.
Exactly.
So yeah, I love that as a metaphor for it. The parallels are definitely there. Also, side note, I feel like that baked good that you're describing is like it sounds like it should be something like in a Michelin star restaurant. Like
Dude, legit, like, okay, so I had like some powdered goat milk, and I was like, what weird shit can I put in here? So I had powdered goat milk, I had oats, I had like, some regular flour. I didn't have any butter, so I was like, okay, well, I got ghee and I got coconut oil. So what can I do with that? And it was just like the weirdest ingredients, and Eric's like, this thing is amazing. And I'm like, well, enjoy it because you're only gonna get it once.
Oh, well, you know what? He is very lucky though that you express your creativity through that, I will say, because whoever I don't bake shit. I don't bake shit. But I will say this, I do bring home like sweet treats here and there. So like I do that. But I will say I've always mentioned this like at some point later in my life when I'm like a mom, I really do want to be like one of those moms who has like a signature recipe, like signature Rice Krispies or like signature chocolate chip cookies where like everybody's like, "Oh wow, I really hope Maya like or whatever my kid's name is, like, I hope her mom makes her dessert." Like, I've always wanted to be that person. So maybe when I start baking, I'll reach out to you for some tips.
Yes, I would love to do it. And honestly, I only have like one question for you, and it's what are you
Oh
grateful
yeah.
for today?
Oh,
Ooh.
that is a good one. Oh, um, I think that it's very basic. It's just health in general, like health of my health, but then also my family and loved ones, because I think that this health is wealth is like the base of everything. If you don't have it, you don't have anything. It's like,
Hmm.
I mean, I think there's tons of stories of people who are like workaholics and then something happens with their health and it's like, well, you can't do shit. So
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
maybe you should go back and like work on that. So I just the ability to live the life that I get to lead and that my loved ones are here and healthy. I'm in a good spot. And quick shout out to my mom for starting to use protein powder and making sure she hits her protein goals. Yeah, she wasn't
Way to
getting
go, Mama
enough.
Maya.
She wasn't getting enough in her regular everyday life, and I was like, "I'm gonna give you some of my HD muscle protein powder. You're gonna try it, and then if you like it, like, we're gonna make sure you have at least a protein shake on the daily to make sure you're hitting your protein goals because you're not getting it through your regular meals." So shout out to my mom, working on her health. I actually do her programming too. So I think that just like the health of me and all of my loved ones is what I'm most grateful for because. Uh, we like to think that we're an island, that we're doing it all alone, but it's definitely not the case. And it can also be easy to take those types of things for granted. But if I'm thinking about it right now, nothing else would be possible without that. So, health.
Word. Word, I love that.
Word up.
I'm grateful for someone do a silly one because I think being a
Yeah.
silly goose is really important. I'm grateful for persimmons. Those are good. I'm really
The
happy I
new
have those.
new foods.
New foods, exactly. I'm also grateful for the generosity and the community that I see when it comes to helping the people in Asheville, North Carolina, and seeing
Oh,
communities rally for people like Tampa. Like,
yeah.
obviously it's like I wish I could be there in person. It's like obviously Eric and I, can donate money and that's like what we have done. But I'm grateful that there are people that are willing to give up their time, their money, their resources to help others in need. And it is so easy to kind of leave that out of the human experience, especially when it's like there is a bunch of storms, there's catastrophe, politics, all of that stuff. But to see like the
Hmm.
genuineness of humans come together to support other humans, I'm really grateful for that.
I I'm a little speechless. That's really beautiful. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And n- knowing that like those people and who everybody who can, totally grateful for them. The fact that they don't let all the other things that are going on in the world, specifically with politics during this time of year, get in the way of helping other humans is a really beautiful thing to see. In general, anytime that people can come together and have compromise is truly beautiful. So cheers to that. And the one thing about like the hardships is that it brings people together. That's like the one
Yes.
silver lining. Obviously, everything else is terrible, and you can't make something that's kind of shitty. Like you're not gonna put like lipstick on a pig and be like, "Oh, it's beautiful." Like no, like it's a bad situation. It is. It's a bad situation. But the silver lining of bringing people together and working towards rebuilding, um, is lovely. So I second that.
I love that. And cheers to your first live.
I know. Yes, actually, wait. I'm grateful for this too. I'm grateful that I was invited when you reached out. I was like 100%. Here, I'm available like first next business day.
I
So,
love it.
thanks for inviting me.
Of course, of course. And we'll probably have you on back on the podcast here maybe after you do your improvement phase, fix the
Yeah.
thyroid, get the period back. But I think it'd be good to follow up because like obviously like you are a leader in your own way. So like showing up and following through is obviously something that everyone needs to see. And I definitely look forward to watching you step on stage when the time is right.
Thank you so much. I look forward to when you step on stage because this is highly anticipated.
You're like,
Highly. Well, also too, the way you train gives me chills. I love to see it.
it
Love
gives
it.
me
You're like, it
something.
gives me shakes. It gives me
Gives me
anxiety.
something. It gives me anxiety.
So, I'm just as excited for yours, and the same thing with the community. I think that that also crosses over to this, and that's one of the main things that I think is most important. What really holds people and attracts people to this sport in general too, is because we're so tight knit and building each other up, just like this, just like online every day, and maintaining those friendships. So I appreciate you
Of course.
and this and everything, and anybody who tuned in. I saw some weird comments. It is what it is.
to Tanya, she's one of my girls. She has our back, just protecting us, being a mama bear.
It's like breaking every get away. So shout out to Tanya.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Maya, thank you so much for your time,
Yeah,
and we'll catch you
yeah,
next time.
absolutely.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.